And we'll be going over the comparisons between the Jackson Coosa FD and the 2019 Hobie Outback. I have on-water comparisons that I'll be showing a little bit later. And the reason why I actually went with the 2019 Outback: speed, efficiency, fishability / storage, and ease of access, and also tracking, turning, and shallow water stuff. I did forget to mention that the Hobie is about 1 mile an hour faster, and that's at cruising speed with not even raising your heart rate. But if I put the same effort in pedaling as I do in the Coosa, then I average about 1.3 to 1.8 miles an hour faster when I was doing that test. All right, so let's start off with just the storage in general. All right, start off at the deck of the Outback here. So you got plenty of tracks going all along, and if you want to do H-rail accessories, that's also an option. This is my favorite. Not that much in there right now, and this is pretty much everything I take out minus the rods and reels, so I have plenty of more room for stuff. I do put like GoPro batteries and my GoPro in there, but that doesn't take up much space. See, you even got a little bit of storage on the lid, got a bottle opener, all that. All right, so let's move over to the side storage. You also got your 2 rod holders up front, which I don't use. I use for changing a lure, leader, taking off a fish, but other than that, I really wouldn't travel with them in there. I have the rod holders in the back, as you can see. So we got all this storage right here. Even got pockets on the side, which I wish Jackson would have done at the very least. But we'll get to that here in a minute. And you got your cup holder for big drinks. Then you kind of got your universal cup holder for like cans and like a canned drink, and then a larger drink as well. And then these, simple but effective, just these little slots here to put your lures in, because when I first started out, I used to put like my wet lures back in the box when I first started in the saltwater, and realized very quickly that was a no-no. All right, let's look at the front hatch. Nothing special, just a front hatch. I will be putting the little bin in there once they're released, if they're not already released. You got your sail mount thingy here, which I might use for a camera one day, but I don't plan on getting a sail or anything for it. So you got your tracks on both sides. You got little slots for fish grips, pliers, all that. And then you have this little bungee right here, which is for the Mirage drive to keep it up against the hull. But if you're not using that, you can slide a tackle tray or 2 under there. That's just like my hooks and stuff like that. Stuff I don't get into very frequent when I'm on the water. All right, so now let's go over to the Jackson. We'll start with the front hatch here. Typical front hatch. I do have a bin insert for the Jackson though, so it does make it a little better than how you get it from the store. You can put stuff in there, and it's a little easier to get to where you ain't gotta reach down so far. All right, so now moving on to here, you got no storage to put anything. You do, however, have a great amount of gear track to work with, so that is a plus. I would say, really, it's probably about even with the amount of gear tracks you get, because you do get double on the Hobie plus H-rail accessories. So it's probably about even as far as that goes. The only storage you have that's not even easy to get to is the storage under the seat with this tray. And this is a god-awful tray too. I can't pull it out because it's on the ground, but it's just, if you go too loose, it comes off. If you go too tight, it makes so much racket sliding back and forth. mean, there is easy ways to get around it, like putting some padding underneath or something like that, or just using like a lid from a tote or something like that. But and how you strap your stuff down, which I'll get to in the Hobie too, is these two bungees way under the seat. Like, you know how inconvenient that is to strap those down under the seat. And then Hobie's little remedy to that is just this little retractable bungee. Stick it in the slot, bam, done. And there is two of these, which I only use one, but oh, another thing I forgot as far as storage, not only with the pliers and anything like that, you can also leash it with a retractable bungee as well. And deck space. That's another thing I mentioned when I did the overview, 1 year overview of the Coosa. If you look right here, right in front of the seat, you don't have a whole lot of space before you hit the actual drive unit. And then you kind of like, your legs are kind of pinned into this position where the pedals are. Now, if you didn't have the pedals in there, yeah, you get more room. But let's go over to the Outback. As you can see, between the Outback and this, there's a lot more space from the front of the seat to where the Mirage Drive starts. And then the Mirage Drive itself doesn't take up any room. It's basically two posts, so you get even more room than that. So the only thing you have to dodge is two little posts here and here coming up, whereas you got that big like center console type deal going on. Let's see. So as far as the storage goes, the leaps and bounds it goes to the Outback, because everything is so simple. I used to have everything just cluttered and unorganized, and I basically jammed everything into one thing so that way I wouldn't have to fiddle around with like multiple boxes. And I don't mind fiddling around with multiple boxes when they're easy to get to and easy to put back, just like these, how these are sitting in the slots there. And it takes a second. All right, so let's go to the seat. Between the two seats, I like the comfort of the butt of this one over the Jackson, but I slightly like the Jackson back over the Hobie. The Hobie does have the lumbar tightener in the back, which I'm sure everyone's seen anyway, but basically have that little knob right there, and then you have the little lever which allows you to lean back or lean forward and lock yourself. It kind of, so it is easier like as far as reclining the back than having those two straps you pull, but they both are easy. So between the two seats, comfort, I'm probably just gonna have to call it dead even. I do like that the Jackson goes higher, so I'm gonna give the seat positioning, I guess, to Jackson just because it goes higher. But this does have a little bit more positions. You can pull this little lever here, and you can bring it down to where you're kind of angled, because sometimes the bottom, like the back of my like hamstring area, will hurt a little bit. And that's just because of propping the leg up for so long. So if you get tired, at least with the Outback, you can tilt it back. So you basically have three levels in the back. You got the high, the low with the post down. And you pull this again, and it goes down one more, I believe. I have to have weight on it, obviously. But yeah, it goes down one more. So the seats, I'm going to call them dead even with how comfortable they are. The positioning height, I like the Jackson better. The multiple positionings, I guess, I like the Hobie better, so I can't really choose between them. I think you'll be fine all day on the water in both kayaks. Let's go back to the rear. you have, once again, more storage. And if we go over the, just how much bigger the rear tank well is in the Jackson, like it's substantially, it's probably double the space in the Outback. But this big cooler right here, it's like a 50 quart thing. I wouldn't never use this, but that big 50 quart cooler will fit perfectly in the back of this. And then you'll have some room in the front of it and the back of it still. I can only put a little cooler back there. So I'm gonna say storage space and accessibility, like I said, definitely the Outback. There is stuff you can do to the Jackson to make more storage, but considering the Jackson, when it was new, it was more expensive than the Outback. I kind of feel like that should have already been addressed and they added more storage and whatnot. All right, so let's get into the drive systems here with the Mirage Drive. Definitely faster, definitely easier. So here we'll do the comparison of how they are in shallow water. The Outback has way more versatility because you can kind of, by fluttering, kind of dictate where your fins are going to hit. So you kind of have like your own positioning, I guess, under the water of how much you kick. But the Jackson, you have three positions. You have fully deployed, half deployed, and tucked up into the hull. So when you can't really go below the halfway position because it will start making way too much noise. You just won't go anywhere. So as far as how shallow you can actually go between both, and the Jackson, you're more protected because if you can't see something, that thing automatically kicks up. But the Outback, you're kind of exposed. So you may run into like bending a rod and the fin, ripping the fin. But you can probably get like 4 or 5 inches of water and still have a forward momentum, just because you can flutter the fins, like 2 or 3 inches at a time. So you're at least still moving forward. And I've taken the Outback in every place I've taken the Coosa, and I haven't touched a paddle yet in the Outback. So yeah, the shallow, the Outback definitely wins that. But as far as not having any worries about breaking anything, the Coosa would win that. The Outback, really, you have to be dragon bottom to not use the propulsion, whereas the Coosa, you have that 6 inches or so where you have to have clearance. And as far as the weight between the two, the Outback is like 102, 103, something like that, fully without your Mirage Drive and seat. The Jackson is 115. However, how the back of the Outback is, how you have so much more length in the back, I positioned the boondocks in the same place as I did the Jackson, right behind the seat, to where I wouldn't waste any tank well space. The Jackson's still really heavy picking up on the front, especially when you have like a slight uphill to go to, whereas the Outback, you are only really just pulling it, you're not really lifting it. It's pretty much weightless just because of the balance of where the boondocks is pretty much just barely from being dead center, I guess, because you have the dead center scupper holes right here. So you're only like 1.5 feet from being center, which makes it a lot lighter. So as far as toting it around, the Outback probably wins that as well. I also wanted to touch on stability. Between the two, I'm gonna have to say that they're both pretty, you can't really tell the difference. I would say the Outback is a little bit less rocky, and the secondary stability when leaning over kicks in sooner, but it's too close to even call as far as standing up. If you're getting like really down to detail, maybe the Outback is slightly easier once you're standing up, but the Coosa is easier to stand up because of the height of the seat. So that's really too close to call, but as far as, getting up, that does go to the Coosa, but stability, It's probably gonna have to be neck and neck. It's too close to call. Alright, I'm gonna do the hands-free test with the stock rudder that comes on this. Alright, so I'm gonna aim right at that grass point up there where the cove or the channel goes in. Alright, hands-free. See how long we can go. Alright, we're hands-free. As you can see, the rudder is in the straight position. So that was about 30 yards before we did a 180. So in the Coosa, I got like 30 yards before it started really turning, and then maybe 40 yards before I was completely backwards. So make sure we're straight, get an angle where I want to go. Now current's going to play a role in any kayak, but you are going to drift left and right depending on current. But the Coosa seems to, even in slack tide, just kind of 180 me, and I have no idea why. I can't figure it out. I know it's because of the inline rudder, but I just can't figure out why it's so severe. Alright, so here we go. Hands free. So if I was wanting to tie a lure, I should be able to. Alright, I think I have the rudder going a little bit to the right. So let me just do a quick adjustment. There we go, now we're straight. Alright, so I'm actually moving faster than what I was in the Coosa, so let's just do like the cruising speed. I could definitely tie a lure. I could drink a coffee and not have to worry about being spun completely around. What is that? Oh, it's someone fishing. Anyway. So yeah, I'm still going. Haven't spun around yet. Don't have to adjust 800 times. It's just nice. I mean, you're gonna have to make tiny adjustments, obviously, depending on current, but nonetheless, you can tie a lure or fish hands-free, which is a big deal to me. So Coosa tracking, definitely leaps and bounds. Now with my little homemade skeg thing I made, it's still significantly better than what the Coosa is. Alright, we're going to do a cruising speed pedal, and then we're going to see the turning radius to do a 180, and we're going to go right. So we're turning now. Definitely not in the wake, but not bad. I've never had no problem turning it, so see how the Hobie does. So we're gonna get a cruising speed like we did in the Jackson, which you don't really need it for the Hobie, which is weird. Weird for me as like feeling wise. All right, so we're gonna cut it right. So that was pretty tight. If I were to give it a little bit more oomph while I was turning, then it would have been even tighter than that, but there's no need to. Alright, so just to show you, and if you've already owned a Hobie, then this isn't even gonna be a big deal or nothing for you. It is for me, coming from the Coosa. So if I'm at a standstill, see, with the Coosa you need like a good 4 foot, 5 foot run of decent forward momentum before you can really get a decent turn in. But with this, I can just turn the paddle or turn the rudder right, and I'm barely moving the fins, and I'm already like in the motion of a 180. Like, I'm barely even moving. See, with the Jackson, I had to be going at least like 1.5 mile an hour to even get any kind of movement. Another thing with this is, with the Jackson, if you turn one way and then quickly turn another way, it's really hard to turn the other way. Like physically, it's really hard to move the rudder that other way, and it's not as responsive. Like this thing, you can do like a slalom with it, which I thought was pretty cool, because my first trip out, I've been in Hobies before. 2016 was the last Outback I was in, but I was in Tony's Carolina Kayak Adventure, his Compass, and his Compass has the same rudder type deal as this, and so he can do the same thing. But not knowing, I took off really fast and turned, about threw myself overboard. So the turning and everything definitely goes to this. Alright, we're gonna see what the reverse time would be. Alright, we get to cruising speed. That's about right here. Alright, we're initiating reverse right now. Alright, 13 seconds is when we started moving in reverse. And that was current going at me right now. So, alright, the stop time is pretty quick in this, but the reverse time, I feel like to go and to start moving backwards takes a while. Obviously 13 seconds, and that's current in your favor. And then the reverse speed is very, very slow, and reverse turning is, you need a lot of room, like a lot of room. Alright, we're gonna do the reverse test in the Outback. Now, if you've seen before the Coosa, I had the current pretty swift going with me to help me go backwards. So right here, it's not much current at all. So we'll see what the time is on this. So we're gonna go at a normal cruising speed. Alright, now we'll start the reverse process now. I'm already going backwards. And you can actually steer the Hobie when you go in reverse. Like the Jackson, you need to be going really fast, but you can't go fast backwards in the Jackson. Like, so yeah, going in reverse easier in the Jackson. Actually stopping and going backwards is quicker in the Hobie, if that makes sense. I mean, it's not hard at all. If somebody can't just stop their feet right here and lightly pull a cable. Everyone said it's hard to pull them. Like, I was moving at an okay speed forward and flipping the fins. Probably do it with your pinky, honestly. So yeah, so the Hobie wins on the reverse. And if you categorize the whole thing, it wins on reverse, on how quick it goes in reverse, the speed in which it goes in reverse, and then the maneuverability once you are in reverse. Alright guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up the comparisons. I hope I did a decent job, and maybe it'll help one of you choose if you did have these two on your radar. In my opinion, they're both great kayaks. The Outback just happens to fit my needs a little more, because I like to have everything nice and organized, like all my baits nice and organized. And with the Jackson, because of my limited storage, and accessibility, I had to kind of cram everything together, so I spent more time going through stuff and made more noise putting crap under the seat. And I do have a full decking, marine decking I'm gonna put on. I might make a video of it, or you might just see it in a later video. I ain't made up my mind yet, but anyway, both are great kayaks. I think now that the Jacksons are 2,500, I'm not sure if that's still going on, but I've seen a lot where they were 3,000 when I got it. So that's a little bit more justifiable now that they're 2,500. But if get Jack back up to $3,000 and you're deciding between the two, go with the Outback 100%. And I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it's me on the water fishing.